In this video, we're going to go over a series of exercises to strengthen the gluteus medius. What is the gluteus medius? It's a muscle group on the side of the hip. It's one of our lateral muscles. It's an abductor. An abductor takes the bone away from the body. I'm using my shoulder, but it's the hip. It acts as a stabilizer in stance. So when you stand on one leg, your gluteus medius should activate, and it has both a rotational and a rotational control aspect to it. So it's a muscle that I often find weak. And in this video, I'm going to teach you 5 exercises, 3 on the mat and 2 in standing. So let's get going. I'll meet you on the mat. I'll talk you through it. So the first one we're going to do is an exercise called the Clam, or some people call it the clamshell. I go to the gym. A lot of people do this exercise and do it really poorly. So I'm going to go over some of the detail that I teach with my clients. Okay, so how do you set it up? First thing you're going to do, you can lie on your side. Okay, you want to line yourself up so that your shoulder, hip, and feet are in one line. And you don't want the knees to be too close. You want them to be elongated a little bit. Now you can either put a pillow under your head or your hand or whatever to support the weight of the head. Okay, first thing you want to think about with the clam is that you want to tighten your abdominals and keep them tightened throughout. Second thing is you want to rotate the hips forward a little bit. So that's the thing I say to my clients: tight core, hips forward, and just keep saying that to yourself. Because the tendency as you do this is for the core to let go and the hips to roll backward. So from there, you press the heels together and you lift the top knee up in the air, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds and lower it down. Then reconnect. Are the stomach muscles still tight? Are the hips rolled forward? Away you go again. Tummy tight, hips forward. You're going to feel a bit of a grab at the top of the motion when you're doing it well. Hold it and then slowly lower it down. And once again, think about your core and your hips being forward. Up you go. 3 to 5 second hold and lower it down. Now, for most people, when they do it well, they never need to add a band because you get enough load here when you think about incorporating the core and the hips forward. And what you're going to do here is you're going to go to your fatigue point. All right, that could be 10, 15, 20, 25. Now, if somebody's got really good form and they're getting to 25 and they're not fatigued, that's one time where I'll allow them to put a loop band around their knees. But I can tell you, it's very rare that any client needs to do that. Okay, that's number 1. I'm just going to show it to you on this one side. Obviously, you're going to do it on both sides. Okay, the second one we're going to do is an exercise called prone abduction. Prone on your stomach, abduction, taking the leg away. So now we're working on the abduction component of the gluteus medius. So you're going to come onto your tummy. You're going to put your head on your forearm. So you're not going to be able to see me too well as I'm doing this. Then you want to keep your core active once again. You're going to take the leg off the floor, not too high, out to the side. That's where you're going to do your hold. Bring it back in. You can lower it down or you can just go back out again. You're going to really feel the muscle contract as you go into the outward position. So here we go. On your stomach. Tighten your tummy. You're going to lift the leg till it just clears the floor. Take it out to the side. You're going to feel the muscle contract. Hold. 2, 3. Bring it back in. You can lower if you need to, or you can just keep going. Out to the side. Hold, hold, hold. Bring it back in. Out to the side again. Hold, hold, hold. And bring it back in. And you're going to go to your fatigue point. Now with this one, often I get people to do right and left. You do not want to alternate. You want to fatigue on the one side before you go to the other. Once again with this one, you could add a loop band either around the knees or the ankles. But for most people, when they get to that stage, they're already doing a harder exercise. Either they're doing side-lying abduction or some standing work. Okay, so that's number 2. So we've got clam, prone abduction. The third one we're going to do is side-lying abduction. Okay, a very commonly used exercise, an exercise that's often done poorly. Okay, so once again, you can lie on your side. Underneath knee is bent, top leg is lengthened. Now, where you lift that leg really determines whether or not this exercise is effective. So a lot of people will lift it up and forward, super easy. What I want you to do is, with the core active, draw the leg back 10 or 15 degrees, not far at all. From there, you're going to lift up. And you're going to keep the leg just slightly behind you as you do it, and then lower. Tummy tight, lift up and back, and lower. Now, one of the other compensations with this is people hike the hip up this way. So you want to make sure that the waist stays nice and long. So again, core is tight, leg is back, lift it up without any movement through the pelvis, and then lower it down. And just keep going here until you reach your fatigue point. Now watch that you don't start to compensate by either letting the hips roll back or the hip come forward. You want to keep the leg back, you want to keep the hip slightly forward, you want to keep the core active throughout. And once again, for most people, when they're meticulous, they're going to fatigue fairly quickly here. And what we want is to fatigue quickly. We don't want to do 50 of an exercise. If we can reach our fatigue point in 10, 12, 15 reps, it's way more time efficient than doing a huge number. Okay? I've just done 6 or 7. I'm already feeling that muscle. Okay. So those are our 3 lying down exercises. Once again, we have clam, prone abduction, and side lying abduction. Okay, now we're going to do 2 in standing. The first one we're going to do in standing is called a standing knee press. So you need a wall for this. Okay? So what you're going to do is stand as close to the wall as you can without touching it. So you're not leaning into the wall. You're just, maybe 2 centimeters from the wall. Okay. What we're working on is the stance leg, not the leg that's moving up the wall. So you want to stand strong, core is active. You're going to lift the leg up so it's at about 70 degrees. Then you're going to press the knee into the wall. Okay. From there, the action starts. You want to feel like this hip is moving inward and upward, and you'll start to feel the gluteus medius work here. So the legs stay strong, the core is strong, the hip moves inward and upward, and you'll feel that energizing of the gluteus medius. You're going to hold it for about 10 seconds, and then you can lower the leg down. Take yourself a little break. Then prepare again, up you come, press the knee, core is active, lift up and in. You could hold it even longer if you want. Now, a progression of this one is holding it with a little bit of a knee bend. So you can just bend as you're doing it. Keep pressing the knee into the wall, keep the core active, see if you can keep the gluteus medius working as you do this. Some people will even put a ball between the knee and the wall so the ball can slide up and down. Okay? Once again, we're looking for a fatigue point. And this one's about teaching you to stand on the leg without any collapse into that hip. You want to keep the hip high when you lift the leg, not dropping into the hip when you lift the other leg. Okay? The last one, you need a loop band for this. And if you don't have them, these are the best tools. Okay, so you want to place it around your ankles. Okay, now we're going to move side to side with this. Now, you could just go on one side, turn around and come back, but I'm going to do right and left at the same time. And the emphasis is on the leg that's pushing off, not the leg that's going to the side. So you want to stand here, press as you take the leg out. Other leg comes in. Press with the left leg as you go out. Press as you go out. So I'm not focusing on that leg, I'm focusing on the stance leg. And you're going to go as far as your hole is or however many you want. Then you're going to reverse and go in the other direction. Now the whole time your core is staying active. What I often see is people doing it in this position, not my favorite. It biases a little bit too much of a muscle called the TFL. I want you to be upright and really train your gluteus medius in an upright position. The more you stretch that leg out to the side, the more the stance leg has to work. And you're just going to go back and forth until you reach that fatigue point. And you will reach a good fatigue point, as long as you don't have a band that's too soft. And what I've got here is I have one of the hardest ones that this company makes. So it's got quite a bit of tension there as you go side. Okay? And for me, I often go back and forth 4 or 5 times, and then my hips are saying, okay, that's enough, I'm done. All right, so there we go. There are 5 exercises that you can use for your gluteus medius. As I said, it's a muscle group that's often weak on people. It gets my runners into big trouble. It gets my yoga people into big trouble. So you want to have strength in that muscle so that when you stand, you are strong and stable, right? And that's the muscle that has to fire. If that's weak, you start to wobble all over the place. So the hip comes in, this energized, core energized, you stand up and you're solid. That's what we're looking for there. Okay, hope that's helpful. Any questions, just fire me off a note.